Good morning, everyone. We're very pleased that you decided to join us today. At Pinsight, we offer free webinars on the topics of leadership assessment and development every month. And today, we're focusing on daily practice in leadership development. My name is Brandon DeCaro, and I head up our enterprise business development at Pinsight. And joining me today is Martin Lanik, Pinsight CEO. Martin is also the author of the business bestseller, The Leader Habit, and holds a PhD in organizational development psychology from Colorado State University. His work on leadership development has been featured in outlets like Forbes, Chief Executive, Talent Economy, and Chief Learning Officer. And today, Martin and I will discuss how you can reimagine leadership development as daily practice. We hope to give you some new ideas as you rethink or perhaps even redesign your leadership development or high potential programs. So what type of learning tools do you use in your company? These are the results from a 2017 LinkedIn survey of 500 L&D professionals from North America. Take a look. The large majority relies on instructor-led classes and online training, and that's probably what you're seeing also in your organization. In fact, we've been relying on these methods of learning for decades, but unfortunately, they are not as effective as we'd like.
Thank you, Brandon. So I will talk a bit about my passion for piano because I think it fits really nicely in today's webinar. So when I was young, I wanted to become a concert pianist, and when I started college, I actually majored in piano performance. And here's how my education was structured. I had music theory classes, so those were the regular classes where I learned how to read sheet music and all about scales and chords. But every week, in addition to these classes, I also had a private lesson with my piano teacher. And that lesson focused on piano practice. I received assignments that I had to practice every day. So in addition to the classes, I also spent time at the keyboard every day practicing my skills. But when we think about leadership development programs, there are many different good classes that leaders can take, and some are already part of your corporate university. But where is that daily practice? It seems to be the missing piece in leadership development. Most leadership development programs don't focus on daily practice. And we see that at Pinsight as a missed opportunity.
That makes perfect sense. Just like concert pianists perfect their skills through daily practice, in addition to the classes they take, leaders should also practice leadership on a daily basis, Martin. Of course, that's easier said than done. Most people are probably now asking, what should daily practice look like for leadership?
Yes, Brandon, that's the ultimate question. What does practicing leadership actually look like? What do you do on a daily basis? And I think we can learn a lot from sports. Take a look at basketball, for example. What are some of the behaviors that players are practicing? So when we think about basketball, effective coaches usually focus on micro behaviors. So they focus on these tiny behaviors because micro behaviors are easy to learn and they quickly become habits. If you, of course, can identify the behaviors that lead to better performance, you can have your players practice those behaviors, and that's exactly what great basketball coaches do. They focus on teaching their players the micro behaviors of experts. I'll give you one example of what that micro behavior of an expert basketball player actually looks like. So this is what scientists have discovered. They studied experts and novice basketball players, and they try to identify the small behaviors that distinguish the experts from the novices. And one behavior that they identified is gaze. So look at how early on in the process here the player actually focuses his gaze on the basket. And this, of course, helps him to focus, to stabilize his upper body, and shoot from the right angle. But if we contrast that with novice players, what do? Well, they keep looking at the ball for too long as they dribble. And at the very last moment, they switch their gaze to the basket. Of course, as a result, they have less time to focus, less time to stabilize their upper body, and they usually miss.
That's really interesting, Martin. You know, as I coach, I can see how I can ask my players to practice this micro behavior. I can have them practice looking up at the basket as soon as they decide to shoot rather than at the ball while they dribble.
Yeah, that's the beauty of knowing what micro behaviors actually result in better performance, because we can easily teach people these micro behaviors.
That's great, Martin. So really back to our question, what should daily practice look like for leadership? You know, based on what you said, it's all about micro behaviors. We should have learners practice the micro behaviors of effective leaders. But that, of course, begs the question, Martin, what are the micro behaviors of effective leaders?
Yes, indeed. And we have actually identified these micro behaviors in our research study. Over the course of several years, we studied 800 managers and executives from around the world. And we didn't just survey them. We tested them in a simulation with challenging tasks. And that allowed us to look at these leaders through a microscope, so to speak, so that we could identify the tiniest behaviors that distinguish effective leaders from not so good leaders. And we found 79 of these micro behaviors. So here is an example that probably all leaders have faced at one point in their career, and that is empowering others. Empowering employees is a core leadership skill. But how do effective leaders actually do that? How do they empower others? Well, we found that there are 3 micro behaviors that effective leaders do. So they have a discussion about appropriate decision-making authority, so they can share and they can reach an agreement about decision-making authority. They agree on check-in points when they delegate, and they also coach their employees through roadblocks. Knowing what these micro behaviors are allows us then to build simple daily exercises to target them.
Great. And here's an example of a daily exercise that targets the skill of empowering others. So after someone comes to you with a problem or issue, ask questions instead of offering solutions and advice by saying, what makes this a problem and what have you already tried? It's simple and it only takes minutes to do. And actually, our Leader Habit app and development module sends daily reminders to the leaders and gives them an opportunity to reflect on the exercise and track their progress. And the module lets leaders know what to practice on a daily basis and provides a system to keep them accountable. So daily practice is of course important, but measuring skill improvement is critical for L&D professionals, as of course they need to demonstrate value of the programs. So take a look at the most common metrics that L&D professionals track. This data is coming from the LinkedIn survey that I referenced earlier. Most companies track feedback from participants or the number of completed online courses, Martin, but that's not enough, right?
Indeed, demonstrating this ROI and especially behavior change is very difficult for L&D professionals. And we see that behavior change is almost missing from this chart right here altogether. But arguably, behavior change is the most important metric, especially given the increased spending on leadership development. I'll share with you an example from Pinsight. We've actually implemented narrow artificial intelligence to help us track actual skill improvement of leaders as they're using our technology and they're developing. So take a look right here. As participants practice their leadership exercises, our app relies on narrow AI to model their improvement. It analyzes their text responses, and just like Fitbit, calculates your steps, the Leader Habit app measures your improvement on the different leadership skills. And here you can see that the person improved already by 15%. This skill improvement then allows us to estimate the dollar value of the training program to the company. In a recent project that we did, 44 managers, as part of their leadership development, utilized the Leader Habit app over 2 months. And their average skill improvement was 13%. And we can now translate this improvement into a dollar value by taking their annual salary as proxy of their relative worth to the organization. Our training program increased their effectiveness by 13%, which translates to $11,345 per manager. So for 44 managers, the dollar value of their improvement to the organization is actually close to $500,000.
That's impressive. Thanks, Martin. So today we discussed different ways how you can incorporate daily practice into your leadership development programs. We hope that you got some new ideas as you're rethinking the programs at your company or perhaps working on redesigning them. The research we discussed today, together with the catalog of leadership micro-behaviors and exercises, are available in Martin's new book, The Leader Habit, on Amazon. If you'd like to learn more about Pinsight software and how it can support your existing or new programs, you can request a demo at pinsight.com. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining today.
Thank you. Take care.